it's really about, you know, we've talked a lot before about the importance of player development, and you've talked already on this show this evening about, you know, what are some of the building blocks. So if you had to create your kind of perfect player, what might that look like? So, you know, I'll give you an example. So if for me, you know, I want a player that understands games. You know, more than somebody that's a great shooter or a great passer, I want a gamer, somebody that can understand the ins and outs of playing a game. I definitely want somebody that's coachable, that's teachable, that's open to new ideas, that's open to learning. I say give me the top 5 like it's such an easy thing to do, but
yeah. Coachable is definitely one. You know, like if you're not willing to listen, or you know, your bad body language and stuff, I picked that up early, and I nip it in the bud. I'm like, this has got to improve, or I don't know if this is going to work for you at this club. So, you know, you got to be coachable, you know, or build them to be coachable, should I say. Not everyone that walks through the door is coachable. It's your job to make them become coachable. You know, it's quick to point the finger, but we have a responsibility to make them, you know, basketball players and improve. So that would be number 1 for me. Hard worker, you know, like we've all been there where one by it's like they're hard to coach in them situations because they're just beating everybody, and then you get to a game where it's a 2-point game and there's 2 minutes to go and stuff, and all of a sudden some players think they can just work harder in the last 2 minutes when you haven't been working hard all game and you expect the reward of the win. So you know, like hard work, and once again that's picked up in training. Technical standpoint, which you mentioned reading the game, I would say footwork, what I mentioned earlier. You know, when you've got good footwork, all the other things can improve. The shooting, the defense, you know, even your passing. Do you get what I mean? So footwork is very important for me. Defense, I think it's a problem as a nation, to be honest. So defense is something we got to pull, and you know, it's both of them. It's individual and team defense, because you know it involves different types of effort, but defense is definitely one. And one more. I think shooting is something that we've really got to consider. You know, like I'll give you an example as a player myself. If for players that knew me, I was a very, very good ball handler. Like, you know, I was very hard to guard, to the point, but I couldn't shoot. You know, people laugh about it till today. Like, I'm talking people would take five steps back off me, but because they know I weren't going to shoot. You get what I'm saying? So it's a bit crazy. But I feel that pulled me up on it was Curtis Xavier. He was like, if you don't shoot the game, if you don't shoot the ball, your game's going to be limited. So it's all good, your ball handling like that, but once people work it out, then that's it. And he actually made me really think that I've got to improve by shooting. By the time I played a pro in Hungary, I was a 95% free throw shooter, and my mid-range game was quite reasonable. It's good, but my mid-range and my free throws was a very high percentage, and that's because of repetitions, and kind of got pulled up about it if I want to improve. And I think the players need that too.
That is a tough question, because if I ask you that question in another 6 months, some of those things might be the same, and you might have added one or taken one away. They might change in order. So thanks for giving that a go. That's always a tough one to get people up on the fly.
Thank you.
So thinking about your own kind of coaching journey and your own coaching philosophy, how much would you say that your philosophy about the game or your approach to coaching or your engagement with your athletes, how much has that changed in the last 5 years, if it has at all?
I feel it's been quite static on how I think basketball should be delivered, but I think what I've improved over the years as a coach and giving the players a bit more responsibility in how they should approach the, you know, it's in the player development framework, you know, like this player is to the plan like, how can I explain? You're always coach led, you know, let the players, you know, show what they need to do in order to get better, and start questioning their own development. You know, I think over the years I've got better at that, and just learning off everybody as well. You came to Spain with me, you know, I learned what you was doing out there, Steve Bucknell, Carl Brown, Gary Smith, you know, plenty of coaches in the EABL and National League. You just pick everybody's brains, and, you know, what you like, you take. What you don't like, you know, you leave. You know, there's no specific book on how to deliver it, but, you know, you take anything positive and try and bring it into your game.
Well, look, I think one of the things that I hope we all kind of continue to do is continue sharing and exchanging ideas. You know, for a long time, you know, I've been coaching for nearly 30 years, and over that period, there have been times where it has felt very much like a closed shop. Like, you know, I've got my ideas and I'm doing this, and I'm maybe coaching regional or coaching national teams, and I'm not going to share what I know because I don't want you to take my stuff. And over the last kind of 10, 15 years, that's been very different. I've met lots of coaches, Curtis, Carl, you know, some of the coaches you just talked about, have been very willing to share their experience, their ideas, and not as if not, and they're sharing it not because they feel like they're better than me, but they're sharing it just because they can. Because they want to give, like they've been given to, and they're willing to give back. So, you know, I agree. Big shout out to those coaches that you mentioned. But one of the things that has changed, particularly in the last kind of 10, 12 weeks, is the massive increase in people getting online and sharing ideas and asking questions. And, you know, that's part of what started this kind of show as well. And I hope that engagement continues afterwards, because as a nation and as a fraternity, we can only improve if we remain open to new ideas, open to different ways of doing things, listening to our colleagues, and realizing that, you know, I'm happy to share with you what we do in my club, with my team. Well, I'm not going to speak for my whole club, but I can talk to you about you know, my philosophy and what I do with my team, because you've still got to beat me, right? I've still got to put that stuff on the floor. I've still got to make sure that my players understand it, that we can read it, that they can make decisions, that, you know, we can execute under pressure. You talked about that before. You know, it's one thing being able to shoot, you know, 50% in practice against limited opposition, you know, in these little drills that we create to develop confidence. It's a very different thing to do that under the pressure of game speed, game time, under the lights. You know, you go to some venues. One of the things I remember about coming to Birmingham a few times is that even if there's only 10 people there, it feels like there's 100 people there. Like, they don't let you get out of the building without earning a win.
No, we try.
If the under, I've been, you know, to a few games where maybe the under 18 boys or the under 16 boys were supporting the women, and it felt like a cauldron in there. So, you know, at the end of the day, it's not enough for us to, I can share my playbook with you. We've still got to be able to execute it under pressure. And you've still got to be able to beat it, right? You're not going to spend all of your week. Most of us only practice twice a week. We don't have that much time. Like, I'm not suggesting I'm going to do this, Steve, but like, if I sent you my playbook, how much time have you actually got to spend working out all the plays that we're going to run and seeing how you're going to beat all these different options? I mean, that's not realistic. So, you know, what the point I'm trying to make is we should be more open to sharing, because by doing that, we all get better. You know, we all challenge ourselves. We all get an opportunity to look at the game a bit differently. And, you know, I look forward to a time where we can actually get back on a floor together and, you know, I can come and look at some of the stuff that you're doing, and unless we're playing you the next week, you're always welcome to come and watch kind of what we're doing and what we've got going on. So yeah, I hope this sense of openness and kind of sharing continues after lockdown.
Yeah, me too. And like I said, you know, if you was to see our 14s, 16s, 18s play, like, you know, sometimes we have games all played at home, you know, you would see that our philosophy is going all throughout the whole club, you know. And like you said, like, I could show you my playbook and stuff, you know, our sets and stuff, but so many reads and stuff like that. It's like, it's on the day. It's like, who's willing to play harder? It's on the day. Like I said, the season cut short, but our under 14s and under 18s did win the season before the season cut out. So fantastic results for the juniors. Our senior men were very young, you know, most of them just come out the academy age group and mid-table. So, you know, we're just trying to build and build. And, you know, I look at other strong programs like yourself in Solent, you know, Myosko, Charnwood, you know, forgive me if I haven't said any other clubs, but, you know, we're just trying to aspire to be one of the best clubs in the country. And in order for that to happen, you know, I gotta give a big shout out to Steve Hansell. It's building a good program and expressing our ethos throughout the whole people that come through the door.
I know at the beginning of the show you said there'll be a few people on tonight from your club listening to the stream this evening. So I want to ask a couple of questions for them on their behalf. Can you tell me one thing that you wish you'd done differently last season?
Oof, that's a bit of an open one, but you know, to be honest, it was quite a challenge for me this year, because last year I did win the Conference League, like I explained earlier. Like, I had a lot of easy games, you know, very difficult to coach when you know, you're winning by 50 and 60 points and stuff, and not even in a disrespectful way, not pressing all game, just, you know, the personnel was just better than the other team. Unfortunately, I couldn't go into the league until, you know, hopefully we won the league. So this year I got promoted into the Premier when I coached the under 16s. And you know how it goes, the older players leave the age group, they move up. So you got your under 14s coming in. So your team's totally different and younger and stuff. And it was just a mad contrast from one season to the other. So not frustration with them, but, you know, the mental toughness, where this year playing in the Prem, it was more focus on that. Now, I personally probably think maybe at some times I was too hard. I had to do a gradual approach because the younger age group coming in. But I just wanted them to understand that we're playing now. At times, I'd probably say was a bit too tough at a gradual.
Tough love.
Yep, that's it really in a nutshell. Tough love. You know.
It comes from a good place, right? It comes from a good place. Give me one thing that you plan to do differently next year. Something other than being tough on the kids, because, you know, I think that's part of our job sometimes, to be tough and to make some of those, to give some of that feedback in a way that is going to have an impact on the kids, and that doesn't always have to be kind of shouting and yelling, but it needs to be honest. But give me an example of something else that you want to be able to do differently or better going into next season.
I would say, like, as a whole, their technical aspect of the game, you know, like, yes, basketball is a team sport, but, you know, you need 5 individuals to make a team on the floor. So, you know, really focusing on the individual development. As the general manager of the club, you know, I've already discussed with Steve Hansell our timetable for training and stuff, and we've got, hopefully when we all get back, there's a lot more access for player development, rather than, you know, you're twice a week and you're just focusing on the game on the weekend. I want to try and come away from that. You know, we all fall into the trap that our last training session of the week is more focusing on the game on the weekend. Yes, I've always still got to have that in context, but you know, player development and both ends of the floor. You know, I think it's a good angle to come at this year, just based on the leagues we won and the vibe we have at the club. You know, everyone wants to get better. Everyone wants to be on that team that can play as high level as they can. So, you know, now that we got the players thinking like that, it's our job to really make sure everyone that walks through the door improves. You know, everyone's at different pace, but as long as they improve, I'm a happy man. I do say that to my players anyway. Like, if you have walked out of this door and you haven't benefited from their session, I've lost. It's my job to make you at least think about at least one thing when you leave my training session. And I just want to be more of an impact in that way next season, definitely.
Excellent. Well, look, Coach, I really appreciate you coming on and joining us. I know we spoke earlier on about, you know, it's everybody likes sharing and enjoys kind of that opportunity to share their ideas, but sometimes, you know, it can be a bit nerve-wracking. But I thought tonight was a really interesting conversation. Kind of, you were really honest and engaging and shared some real value tonight. So, Steve, I look forward to seeing you in person. It's sometimes in the not too distant future. We can continue sharing. I'll bring a copy of my playbooks just so you know, in the interest of kind of sharing and openness. It might be all blank, but you know, I'll bring it anyway.
It's really, it's more, I like to see what you're doing behind closed doors. You know, you're
exactly.
You get what I'm saying? That's the important stuff. You know,
exactly.
And then, you know, on the game day, it's up to the players. It's like you prepare them as much as you can. There's nothing you can do on game day apart. It's up to them. And then, you know, when it is a close, your players are looking at, what do I do? But until then, you know, the game day is on the players.
Excellent. Look, really good to see you again. Say hi to the family. Say hi to your beautiful daughters. Who?
Thank you. Same for you as well.
The oldest is giving you some stress, so stop stressing him out.
That's gonna happen. I don't think that's gonna happen, but we'll see.
We've got it all to come. Great to see you. Keep smiling, and we'll see you very soon. Everybody else, thank you very much for listening. This is another episode of They Call Me Coach. Hopefully, you got some value out of tonight's show. We've got the next month. We've got a full list of guests coming up. So I'll start releasing those guests kind of prior to the shows for the rest of June and July. And if you've got any ideas about specific topics, like we've had some questions about maybe having some more technical questions on the show, we're happy to do that. It gives us an opportunity to experiment as well with the format. So by all means, please comment, drop us, obviously subscribe to the channel, drop us a like, send me a private or direct message, and we'll get onto that. Thanks very much, everyone. Have a great night. Bye.
Bye-bye.